Hello, hello, hello. As you join us, please tell me your name and the state where you're watching the Facebook Live. Hello, my name is Karen. Are you in? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, welcome. My name is Karen Brown, the creator of Women Build Your Empire. I empower women entrepreneurs to protect the most valuable asset, you, by slaying obstacles and threats that can destroy your livelihood so that you can build your empire like a Fortune 500 company. Thank you for joining my Mind Your Business series today. I want to use these conversations as a time to inspire, motivate, and support women who know they have a calling and need the tools to bring their vision securely and legally to life. We're all born with God given gifts and talents. There is something special we can share with the world, but many of us hold back our greatness because we don't have the right mindset. I have Latricia C. Davis, CSO, executive mentor, global speaker, breakthrough strategist to motivate us to get our minds right. I'm so excited to have her join us because she has been pouring into me for the last 8 months as my coach. So let's send some love her way by sharing the likes or love emojis. Welcome, Latricia. I'm so excited to have you with me today.
Hi, I'm excited to be here, Karen. Thank you for having me. Tonight is going to be so good.
I know it is going to be phenomenal. I know I've been excited about this probably for about a couple of weeks now, especially when we first started talking about it and just knowing that this is something that we as women need and to help us to get to our next level. So I just want to start by just asking you, can you share what your journey as an entrepreneur has been like?
It's so funny because I am making sure I'm starting a watch party because I want women to come on. I want them to know what we're
Okay.
doing.
Okay.
But I wanted to, when I was like a young kid, like my mom, I was always trying to create. I didn't know that that was being an entrepreneur at the time, but it was like I always found a way to make money doing something. So if it was a holiday, I was like making baskets. I was trying to, create stuff. I was trying to sew things. I always found something that I could do because it was, growing up in a single parent household, my mom worked really hard, but there were just things that I wanted that weren't a priority, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
figured, well, if there's not enough money in the budget, said, no, I can't afford it. She said, I didn't budget for that this month. And eventually I realized that it was really, we couldn't afford it and it wasn't in the budget. So I had to find a way to create wealth for me at a young age. So by the time I was teen, I knew how to manage money. I was good with it. I knew how to take care of household budget. I knew what a budget was because I got tired of her saying it's not in the budget. And I was like, is
Mm-hmm.
there a way we could figure out how to put what we want in the budget too? And it was until then that I started to learn that you have to be creative and then get people to buy into what you think is important and then sell that to them. And that's when it all started. And so ever since then, I've always had some type of business endeavor, that I've been working and building and growing. And so now it's like the real deal now. Now it's big. It's big time. It's not a lemonade stand anymore.
Yep.
It's a big thing.
So that's so interesting because that's something that we have in common. Because as a young girl, um, same circumstances when my parents had separated, that you had to be resourceful to be able to um, for me, it was to fit in, right? You're in high school and, you want to wear what everybody else has. And for me, I did the same thing. I took up sewing. I asked my dad for a sewing machine. He bought it. And all through junior high and high school, I made all of my clothes. Um, I was known. I did fashion shows um, the. It was a Black organization in high school, and so I did so much to use that creativity that I had, and it was so cool because, like I said, my mom didn't have it, my dad wasn't buying it, right? And so I was like, I want to look fly like everybody else too. So
Right.
definitely know that, totally can relate to using the talents. And, the other thing for me, similar to you though, is that I had to um, help my mother with her finances. So I totally went in and learned at 12, what a budget was as well too. So definitely, those things that people may not think, that the situations and things that we've gone through throughout our lives, how much they can come forward and be so much of a skill that you can use today to be able to pull
Hmm.
yourself forward. So I would really, because we're talking about, that we're going to have the right mindset to build. So what would be your definition of mindset?
So, I mean, when you look at mindset, it's always about your attitudes and your belief systems around something, or, something that you deem as important, I should say. But I've always really been curious about mindset because there's two
Mm-hmm.
basic mindsets. You have the fixed mindset where it's your set of qualities, that your belief systems, they don't change. Rarely do they change. Most of them are um, given to us by our parents, our teachers, how we're raised. We have this fixed
My
mindset around
coach.
something. The
So
other one is the growth mindset, right? So the growth
mm-hmm.
mindset is more, it's open to what is possible. It's the
Mm-hmm.
challenging part of your mind that
Mm-hmm.
says, you know what, if I see it as this, but could it be this? I see that this is blue, but is it possible that there's more than one shade of blue? And then
Mm-hmm.
exploring that there is more shades of blue than just sky blue. There's dark blue, there's navy, there's aqua. You know what I mean? Like, so you look
Mm-hmm.
at the exploration of what it is. So the growth mindset is where I tend to always have kind of geared myself to, even though there are some things that I've fixed my attitude towards.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a very strong belief system, like in my faith. But
Mm-hmm.
even there, I've grown because I've
Mm-hmm.
learned so much about what it means to see something and then
Mm-hmm.
be able to take it further. The creative process of growing your mind has
Mm-hmm.
been incredible for me. So just learning more about how we think, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm so intentional about helping women, right, and
Mm-hmm.
helping them fix their minds around how they see themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because
Yeah.
it's interesting. So, how I looked at what mindset meant was that it's your thoughts displayed in your actions.
Mhm.
So, whether
Mhm.
they're good, whether they're bad, um, whether they're positive, negative, like you said, whether, you know what I mean, it's a different shade of blue or purple, my favorite color. Um, Whatever it is, again, it shows, right? It's a reflection. Um, and so I feel like our minds can be such um, a a a wealth or depth of of what we can do and be. And so for me, I feel like your thoughts and your actions, they have to be in alignment. And
Yes.
so I want us to have that conversation around three areas of a way that with a mindset that we can build our empire, or any woman, me, you, anybody can build their empire, and their belief, your focus, and your attitude. And so I wanted to first start with belief. And so I know for me, my goal for 2020 was that I was going to be unmuted, right? So I was going to um, then put myself in situations and circumstances where um, people could hear me. And so one of the things was I wanted to actually have these more social gatherings where they're intimate and women could come together to talk. And so that is kind of where the birth of Mind Your Business came from. And so for me, I wanted to be able to make that space or create that space for them to be able to share openly, but to be able to support them as they um, were working on growing in their talents, but at the same time, fleshing out their intellectual property. And so my first task actually in our coaching was that, I needed to become visible, but, um, I'm used to being in the room, but I don't need to be up front in the room. I can be in the back, I can support, I can give. And never did I think to put myself in the front. And so as we've been going through this journey, you know, then the pandemic hits. And so there was no
Yes.
space to be in a room. So I'm being called forward. I'm being called to the front of the room and to be able to be vocal and to share with others. And so, for me, it was hard because um, I liked the back of the room. And so the challenge between the two was, on one hand, there's this burning desire to be able to help women and to be able to support them and to bring out the best that I can in them. And then at the same time, there's this part of me that has to be perfect. And that spirit of perfection is really dangerous, you know what I mean? And so, for me, it was that anxiety of, oh my gosh, is this going to be right? Did I think everything through? Did I dot my I's? Did I cross my T's? Is everything going the way it should be? And the funny part was, last Sunday was my first real Facebook Live. And so it really didn't. But the thing that I walked away from that experience wasn't about the perfection. It was about, I'm going to do what I'm called to do. And it may be rocky for a little bit, but that's going to be okay, because that rockiness is what's building me. Those are my tests that I'm going through to be able to come out and to be able to be more compassionate for that next woman who's going to have those same rocky starts, and can share and to be able to pour into them what I've already learned on my journey as I continue to pull, because I'm really somebody who wants to pull women forward. So from my experiences, I can share and pull them forward. And so as I, think about this, my old self would have put it off. Like, I would have come up with, because, that perfectionist, you got to have everything right. And it just never would have happened. And I don't know if anybody is listening that can relate to what I'm sharing about those battles within of wanting to do what you're called to do, but then those character flaws or shortcomings just keep us from reaching those heights that we know that we want to reach. And so I'm just happy that I listened, that I was obedient and did what I was called to do. And again, this won't be the best either, but hey, I'm going to continue to do it because I know that it's what I'm supposed to do. So
Yeah.
can you share how our beliefs can make or break us as entrepreneurs?
Listen, first, let me just say this about the perfection piece. And I applaud you, because I know the process over the last 8 months to get here, right? So I celebrate you for believing, for trusting in yourself, for knowing that you deserve to speak. Your words matter, and that you have a voice that cannot be silent, that you have to unleash, you have to unmute, because the world needs you. Like, they've been waiting for you to show up. Sons and daughters have been crying out. Creation has been waiting for Karen's arrival. But in your pursuit of perfection, you will catch excellence. You will acquire excellence, right? So you can pursue excellence all day. I mean, perfection all day. Not a problem pursuing that. But understanding that there is no one that's perfect. There is nothing that is perfect. So first, I say that go ahead and just pursue perfection. It's okay, because most of us are like that. But give yourself permission to grant yourself access to excellence, because when you serve in excellence,
Mhm.
everything else falls in place. Everything else falls in
Mhm.
place. So when you
Mhm.
talk about a belief system, the one thing I think that makes or breaks us is
Mhm.
our habits.
Mhm.
The habits, the way we live out our life, the way we make our decisions, the way we, get our disciplines, right? So there's
Mhm.
things that we have to discipline ourselves to get to a certain place. If you want to win a
Mhm.
race, you have to start small,
Mhm.
running 1 mile at a time. If so there's disciplines that we have to put in place first.
Mhm.
But more importantly, the habits that we, continue to do, some of them are good habits, some of them are bad habits. It takes
Mhm.
technically it's 21 days, but then it's I think it ends up being like 66 days really to transform or to change a habit, right? To really say it's no longer something I'm doing. But your belief system has this one thing that's called limiting beliefs.
Mhm.
So when we limit what we think is possible for us, it
Mhm.
stops us. That's
Right.
one thing.
Mhm.
To overcome the barrier of the limiting beliefs, which is that you aren't ready, you can't have it, anything that is negative from stopping you to achieve your goals, your dreams, the vision that God has for you in place for you, anything that stops you is a limiting belief. Anything that makes you think that you're not ready,
Mhm.
limiting. So it's
Mhm.
overcoming
Mhm.
those types of conversations. A lot of
Mhm.
times we adapt limiting beliefs because somebody else in our family failed at it,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And so you want to be a singer. Your mother was a singer and it didn't work out for her. And she's afraid that you're going to fall down the
Mhm.
same traps that she fell down. The
Mhm.
key is that there are traps that are set up along the way. So what I
Mhm.
believe is that if you know who you are, if
Mhm.
you know, and I got my notes because I want to stay on task, but if
Mhm.
you know who you are,
Mhm.
meaning that you know who you belong to, you know what your mission here is on the earth, you know
Mhm.
what you are here to do, and then
Mhm.
you know why you are doing it, why you're serving at that level, it helps
Mhm.
shatter every single limiting belief. So you want to say,
Mhm.
Latricia, how do you stop it? You need
Mhm.
to readjust and look back at who you are, what
Mhm.
you are here to do, your assignment here on this earth, and why you have to do it. That will break the barriers of the limiting belief. And then you start to activate and you show up more powerfully in the world when you
Mhm.
realize that it's not you doing anyways. It's the
Mhm.
power that's working within
Yes.
you that's
Yes.
going to complete it's going to
Mhm.
complete it. So I
Mhm.
believe that all things are possible,
Yep.
right? I believe
Mhm.
that when we are on assignment, that we're clear about who God called us to be. I'm a faith kind of girl. I believe it starts to align. Are there challenges?
Mhm.
Yes, we'll talk about those.
Mhm.
But if you start out with the mindset that I'm going to accomplish everything I'm supposed to be and do,
Mhm.
you got this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that is so true because I think, even when I shared, I know that the things that came up for me was, girl, you gained some weight. You sure you want to be on a Facebook
On
live?
screen.
It was, you know, do you really know what you're talking about? Do you really?
Mm,
Um, so you just think about like so many different things. And I know that those are things that I've dealt with for a long time, but I don't sit in them. And the thing I think sometimes that people don't do is that they don't sit with themselves and they don't
right.
sit and listen to God when he's talking to them.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
and it's in those still times, I feel like for me, is when things are clear. And I know some people think of the pandemic in so many different ways, but for me, this has been one of the most phenomenal times because you really, really know who you are. You really begin
Yeah.
to know who you rely on. You really
Hmm.
begin to know where your blessings come from. Because,
Right.
and again, I know that there are a lot of women out there who um, are laid off right now. And
Hmm.
if you're one of those, like I said, God gave you talents.
Ah,
It is
yes.
time to pull them forward. It is time to sit with yourself and figure out what those are. Um, and
Yeah.
again, whatever negative things, write them down. And then you need to sit and again, because those are the lies. And
So
then
right.
sit and write
Exactly.
what's the truth. because
Here's
Mhm.
what's here's
Go
what's
ahead.
crazy, Karen. Like,
Mhm.
we are the future of American
Mhm.
business.
Mhm.
It was predicted back in, like, I think 2013. I was reading something that I think Bill Gates or Warren Buffett said. They talked about women and how there is an inheritance, right? There's an inheritance of wealth. The numbers were crazy. I'd see if I could find. I think it was $30 trillion in
Mhm.
international global wealth that women stand to inherit.
Mhm.
That was back in 2013. So fast
Mhm.
forward to now.
Mhm.
You talk about the pandemic and the quiet time and the stillness. When we fight past the internal battles, so you call them,
Mhm.
right? The internal
Mhm.
battle of what we're struggling with, and we move beyond that and we understand that we are the future, women
Mhm.
are on the rise. And when we take our rightful place in the world and in the
Mhm.
kingdom, and
Mhm.
we know that we have been given we have been given dominion
Mhm.
over a specific area where we
Mhm.
are to rule, govern, right?
Mhm.
We are given that, and that is
Right.
our right as
Mhm.
women. And
Mhm.
so we're not just at home anymore. We're in
Mhm.
the corporate offices. We're handling
Mhm.
business. We're in, political offices. But the next move and the current move, you're going
Mhm.
to find so many women entrepreneurs that will
Mhm.
be stabilized after this. Like,
Mhm.
we are getting stable. We have the playing field has been leveled.
Yep.
Some of the larger corporations are shutting their doors,
Mhm.
filing bankruptcy, yet you see women entrepreneurs rising like never before. You know why?
Mhm.
It's because the ground is level and everybody is alone together and we're all working from home. We're all
Mhm.
figuring it out together. Nobody could have predicted this.
Mhm.
God, of course, knew.
Mhm.
But here we are with this incredible opportunity. So you have to break through the limiting
Mhm.
beliefs to get here and
Mhm.
win the battle. Like, commit
Right.
to win this battle so that you
Mhm.
can show up and get, and I want part of that wealth, right?
Right.
That $1 trillion, $30 trillion wealth. I could take, just give me $1 trillion. I'm good with that.
Right.
That's all I need.
Yes.
I'll
I'm with
share it
you.
with
I can
everybody
take it.
else. Right.
Yeah, I can take it. Look, I'll take it. Thank you. I'll take
Right.
it.
Yes.
You
But that's
know?
what it is. So women we're rising. And if we stick
Mhm.
together and we build right, we build. That's
Mhm.
why I love what you're doing, teaching
Mhm.
women how to build their empire from the foundation of doing it
Mhm.
the right way. That's why I
Mhm.
love it. Because when we get all this money, what do we do with it?
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
We got to know how to build. And that's
Mhm.
key to what you're doing. So I love your mission on the world. It's incredible.
Yep. And so just even tying into what you shared. Um, so it is 2.6 million African American women since 2019 that are now
Woo.
entrepreneurs.
See
2.4
what I'm
million,
saying?
right?
See what
And
I'm saying? Yep.
so for me, even in that, I thought even if let's say we even got 10% of that 2.4 million to join
Mm-hmm.
us, to be focused on building their empires right, to sustain them and do it within a community, it would be
Right.
phenomenal to be
Yep.
able to do what we need to do. And that's what I feel like is so powerful right now and so necessary and needed. So you've shared a lot, but if we had to narrow down, what would you say the one thing we would need today to turn us around?
Ooh. Um, I would say we have to break the habit of compromising with poverty. Like,
Wow. Wow.
we
Yeah.
compromise with poverty and we forget that we're supposed to be aiming at riches.
Wow.
When you compromise, like,
Mhm,
I shared this story before. I won't share it here, but
mhm,
the full story. But I had a issue with brown bags.
mhm,
I had a phobia of them. I've shared that. And long story short, it was when we were younger. My father loved thrift stores. My grandparents, they were all thrifters, and they love consignment shops and thrifting. But every time they came with something from the store, it came in a brown paper bag. Well, I remember my mother having a fit because it was Christmas time, or it was a time where, we were back to school maybe, but my dad brought over some stuff for us in brown bags. Now, we had no issue with that because we were excited it was something in there for us. And we were opening it up. It was school clothes. And my mother said, "Hey, girls, go upstairs." Me and my sister, we go upstairs. We heard them arguing about the brown bag and the stuff that came from a consignment shop or a pop or thrift store or whatever. And I was like, I never want another thing from a thrift store. I don't want anything that comes in a brown paper bag. And
mhm,
I had a phobia of going into thrift stores, secondhand stuff, even though I would donate, clothes. I'm
mhm,
talking about as an adult. literally
Mhm.
having children, you know, managing all that, I would donate stuff, but I never wanted anything to come back to me in a brown paper bag. And
Mhm.
it was because that phobia, brown paper bag meant poverty. And even
Mm.
though my mother went and put stuff on layaway, anybody remember layaway?
Yes,
It
yes.
was layaway
We used
because
to.
you couldn't afford to buy it all at
Mhm.
one time. So you had
Mhm.
to pay on it. But
Mhm.
that came in a brown box. So my phobia of brown bags and brown box always made me think about poverty. Well,
Mm.
I had this belief in this habit, and I was compromising with poverty because I always felt like I didn't have enough. So I was hoarding. I was
Mhm.
grabbing more than I needed because I didn't want to be without. And it wasn't until I started to see, I'm like, wait a minute, there is something wrong with this. And it was until my student literally needed my help because she needed things for her house. And we had to go into a thrift store that was giving things away. And they had everything she needed from a bed, you know, bed comforters for her son and shoes for her, everything, curtains and forks and spoons. It was incredible what she got. But
Mhm.
she needed me to come into the room with her. She needed me to hold a bag so she could get more.
Mm.
And she needed me to be there to hold the bag to fill it. And if I refused to do that because I was connected to poverty and I saw it as poverty, I could not be a blessing to her. So I
Wow.
literally broke down in the store. I was hyperventilating. My hands were sweating. I'm like, oh, I don't want to be here. I can't do this. Like this means that I'm poor. If I sign my name that I'm taking a brown bag, it means if somebody goes and listens and see my name, they're gonna say, oh, Latricia is she's poor and she needed something from here. It was
Mhm.
crazy. But I was compromising so long with poverty that I
Mhm.
forgot riches was an option for me, that I could put my mind on high. Remember, I was always an
Mhm.
entrepreneur. I knew
Mhm.
how to get wealth. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I knew how to
Mhm.
make money stretch. I knew how to take this dollar and triple it. I knew how to
Mhm.
do that. But when it came to my mindset around poverty and scarcity,
Mhm.
I would rationalize things. I didn't even want to use
Mm.
all of my makeup because I knew I spent $50 at MAC to get this. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on. I'm not gonna use
Mm.
it all. Because
Mm.
if I run out and I don't have $50, then I won't do it. So we have to make sure that as women entrepreneurs, we're not afraid of money and of riches.
Mm.
We
Right,
have to be
right,
willing to
right.
think and grow rich like women. Forget like a
Yes.
man.
Right.
Think and grow rich like a
Mhm.
woman. But
Mhm.
you have to. That one thing that you turn around is your belief system around money. I have people all the time that talk about, well, I can't charge this for that. And I can't ask people to pay for my knowledge. They call me and ask me questions. I said, baby, that's coaching. Like
Mhm.
that's something that is valuable. I
Mhm.
can find money anywhere. And Karen, you know, I'll come up with
Yeah.
something in a minute. I'm like, you could create. I'm like, did you know that you could? And my friends laugh because they're like, you always coming
Yeah.
up with something.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
see money now. I see
Right.
money everywhere around me. And I'll
Mhm.
take what you have. I'll take
Mhm.
what you have and I'll show you how to multiply that money and make it grow for you. And but it's
Mhm.
around getting rid of the poverty and the scarcity
That's what I'm
mindset. So
saying.
when you stop
Yeah.
compromising with that,
Right.
yeah,
Right. And I think too is I think even on top of that, that's so true, is a lot of times we can't live somebody else's dream. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
Around money. Because again, I don't want to be like the Joneses. I just want to be Karen
right,
Brown, right? And I want to get
mm-hmm,
what is for me. And a lot of times that's what happens too, is that people are too busy looking at each other instead of really looking at what's for them, right? Because they
yes,
don't stay in their own
yes,
lane. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Which is so, so true. But I mean, I can tell you that, you know, I just couldn't as a child. I mean, I want to say 12 for me was kind of a pivotal year or an age because you so much because you're not a teenager, you know what I mean? And you're not that, little girl anymore. But I think for me, having to grow up so fast and just the
yep,
the 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 situations and circumstances that I was placed in. So as I've shared with you, like I had to budget my mother's checkbook as well. So for me, I
mm-hmm,
had to know if all she had was $50, how is that $50 going to stretch
right,
until there's another $50, you know?
yeah,
Um, And for me, I guess I'm the opposite because I love thrift stores because a
It was,
lot of times
girl.
you'll find some stuff in there
Right.
that's amazing. But I think in the story that you shared for yourself is it is so true about the perception and how you see things. And I think a
Hmm.
lot of women don't love money and they don't
They
see the
don't.
value or
Mm.
they just don't understand it. And so, that's the next thing is again is teaching people the value. And I know that in January, I had connected with a gentleman, and I had a intimate event which was teaching women how to take the money and to learn different things of finances that we were never taught. I know it
Right.
was never anything taught in my community. And so, again, I'm amazed that the decision I made last year has now tripled. The money that I
Yeah.
use to invest has tripled. And we ain't talking about no stock market. We're talking about something that's going to help me long term as a single woman, right? Who
Right.
is going to have to take care of myself as I age. So I was like, no, no, this is how I'm going to do. I'm going to find the resources that are going to teach and help
Yeah.
women to be able to stand in their true power. And so that is one of the things that I am definitely going to continue to connect and educate women on is you have to love money. And again, we
Right.
can't
You.
do it with a mind stuck in scarcity,
Right.
which is
And the great
really
thing is,
hmm
yeah, you just said it, the education piece. When you
hmm
start closing the gap, a financial
hmm
literacy gap, if you start
hmm
closing that gap for women and
hmm
helping them understand how to build, how to
hmm
acquire, how to
hmm
manage,
hmm
and how to embrace money. And
hmm
the thing is that money is needed. Like people who I've heard people say so many times, you don't need money to have a great life. Well,
hmm
okay if that's what works for you, but I just believe money creates better memories, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's great when I can take my children on vacation, and so
hmm
when we do that, but then it takes money to do that, right?
hmm
So, and it's not that it's that you have to that you want to love the love of money.
Mhm.
We know that's
Right,
that's the root of
right,
evil, right? We know
right.
that. But we're talking about the money that we acquire, the wealth, and it's not
Mhm,
just money; it's wealth, right? The
mhm,
wealth that we acquire is able to we're able to serve more people when we
mhm.
have more.
Yep,
So
yep.
if I live in abundance and I serve for my overflow, if there is a need that is presented, then I don't have to go and scrape it together. I
Mhm,
can take from my overflow and I can
mhm.
give to the places that need it, right? So
Right,
we've
right.
been given an opportunity, but you're
Mhm,
right. If we're rising as
mhm,
women leaders, as women
mhm,
entrepreneurs, right? Business owners, American business leaders, then
mhm.
we need to know how to manage that so we can continue to teach our daughters who
Mhm.
will also be building empires.
Right. And that's the thing is about building legacy. And I know for me,
Yes.
I as you know, I don't have kids. So for me, I'm teaching my nieces because again, they're my
Mm-hmm.
next generation. And so we're now four generations. And so I then too take the time to teach my grandnieces. Because again, if
Yeah.
I don't start teaching them at 8 and
That's
12,
right.
you know what I mean? Who is? Because I have no disrespect um going to help or support another business owner. I have no issue with that. Not
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever because I've done it. But for
Yeah.
me, what's important is that I teach them how to do their own and to be their own
Mm-hmm.
and create their own so that there always have multiple streams of income because if one
Mm-hmm.
thing dries up, you have another. And that's another thing
Say that again. Say
historically
that again, girl. Say
that
that again.
we
Say that again.
haven't been taught is that you need to have multiple streams of income. Because
Multiple.
if one
Yep.
dries up, you are not starving. Your
Mm-hmm.
lights are on. There's food on your table. And again, there's so many things that need to be taught. And like I said, if we really focus on what's the vision for our family, what does your family look like 10, 15 years from now? What's the vision
Right.
that you have? And I know that I have one for my own family and for the girls and what I want for them. And again, they're talented and gifted in their each in their individual ways, and and I have enjoyed being able to pour into them and to teach them what I know. Now, sometimes, they get a little funny with me because they're like, "Oh, some of your conversations are morbid." No, they're not morbid. They are not at all. All I'm doing is teaching you what's real, because
I'm just trying to
nothing is
show you what to
forever.
do.
Yeah, that's it. Y'all may not like it today, but when you're 30 and you trying to figure some stuff out, you gonna already have the resources available to you to do that. And that's the
Yeah.
one thing that I know for
Yeah.
me is that, building a legacy to carry on is so, so important. So the
Yeah.
next thing I want us to talk about is about the focus, because we've talked about what our beliefs and that ground the core of who we are in order for us to move forward. But again, sometimes we can be so distracted, and I think the pandemic has helped us to get
Yeah.
undistracted, because again, you can't go to all of these, the dinners or the restaurants or the concerts or the sports events and all the different things. We've had to spend time either with our loved ones, or you've been in isolation by yourself. Either
Mm-hmm.
way, you've had some time, right? Some time, but some reflection. You really got to see your kids. You know what I mean? For those that are parents, now you get to see what that teacher's dealing with all
Yes.
day long. Okay. And then you're seeing that really some of their perception. Now, I'm not going to say
Mm-hmm.
all, but some of the perceptions are true, right? And so now you're having to spend that time teaching your kids, and
Right.
now you're having to use a different skill to be able to do that. For those, for an example, who have to work remote, that's another whole situation. You've got to change your whole
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle where you're used to that
Everything.
commute. You know what I mean? To get into the office. And now, nope, you get up and now you go to your office, your kitchen table, your couch, whatever that thing is where you're working now. And you're doing what you have to do. And so it's teaching us to use other parts of our
Mm-hmm.
gifts to be able to get us through these times. And so I think the things that I think about are three things: are the opportunities, right? That these are great times for opportunities, right? Because you can think outside
Mm-hmm.
the box. It's, setting new goals, because you may have had goals at the beginning of 2020. They may not be the goals today, but it doesn't mean you throw them out the window. Some of them you may shelf, but how can you take those and just restructure them, make them something
Yeah.
else, change them? And then two, this is the time where you know, risk. What about it? Do you have any? And if you do, how are you
Yeah.
handling it? And
Mm-hmm.
so for
Mm-hmm.
me, I think time, energy, and your focus towards what you're trying to build is so important in this time that we're in right now. So, why do you think that entrepreneurs need to be present? Because that's the first thing. Because again, some of us still sleep, but they need to be
Mm-hmm.
present, they need to be woke. And really thinking about what goals can you do or be in this time with the COVID-19 pandemic. What are your thoughts on that?
So that's a really great question. And even when you talked about time, energy, and focus, right? You need to be present because the world is happening around you, or it's going to happen to you, or it's going to happen
Mhm,
with your participation.
mhm,
So how you're showing up, if you sit around these last 2 months and you've done nothing to build your dream because you didn't know how to manage your time, you didn't know that this time you were waiting for it to end,
mhm,
then you've missed some incredible, what you said, opportunities.
mhm,
We've been given rest. A lot
mhm,
of people needed time to rest. They were
mhm,
stressed and overwhelmed.
mhm,
Some people needed an opportunity to spend time with their children, their family,
mhm,
right? There
mhm,
were some projects that you needed to get done, right? So this
mhm,
time has been incredible for many of us that we've learned how to manage it. People are still struggling,
mhm,
but focus is important, but you have to learn how to focus on the one area and concentrate there.
mhm.
You have people that are jack of all trades and a master of none.
Yes. Yes.
right? And we
Mhm.
were taught you should know a little bit about everything. That's great to
Mhm.
know a little bit about everything, but what do you have mastery in?
Mhm.
Because it's the thing that you have mastery in, that you've
Mhm.
spent your time developing, you're
Mhm.
growing it, you're
Mhm.
researching, you're studying it, you're
Mhm.
finding areas to expand the current
Mhm.
research, the market. That
Mhm.
innovative idea is
Mhm.
inside of you, and it comes
Mhm.
forward when you focus, when
Mhm.
you get
Yep.
everything out of the way, all of the
Mhm.
clutter out of the
Mhm.
way. I used to have a binder of all kind of stuff. I'm a research. I love research.
Mhm.
I would get lost in the
Mhm.
research.
Mhm.
So I would get lost in the research because I was trying to find,
Mhm.
and then never did anything with it, but had a whole bunch of paper that now I'll never have time to go through, right?
Mhm.
But had I just sat still long enough to
Mhm.
really concentrate and see, what is God saying? What does he want me to do? What is it that, he's saying, Latricia, I want to give this gift to you. So when I gave myself the gift of focus, and
Mhm.
meaning that I settled myself, I stopped, right? I
Mhm.
stopped doing what it was that everybody else said I should be doing. And I
Mhm.
and I concentrated on the things that I loved to do, the things that brought me joy, the things that I would
Mhm.
do even if I wasn't going to make money from it. And I
Mhm.
focused on that place. So that
Mhm.
specialized area of knowledge, and
Mhm.
you expanded it. But being present and setting goals right now, if
Mhm.
you don't have I have right here, you need a roadmap for success.
Mhm.
You need
Yep.
to have
Yep.
a focused destination. Where
Mhm.
are you going? If you don't have, or in your GPS, if you don't put a destination in there, your car will not give you instructions on where to go.
Nope. You be lost.
It's like, exactly, that first thing it says, okay, where you are and where
Mhm.
do you want to go? So
Mhm.
setting goals, it gives you the goal that here's the end of the target. This is where I want to
Mhm.
get to.
Mhm.
The issue is that you can put little goals, small goals along the
Mhm.
way to
Mhm.
reach the big goal. But being present means, oh, I mastered that level. Now let me go
Mhm.
to the next one. Now I
Mhm.
got this and I focus on this. Okay, now I'm going to, what's next? And I'm going to focus on that. So you keep building up to mastery. But it's
Mhm.
being present, seeing yourself, also understanding that there's going to be some pitfalls along the way, right? It's
Mhm.
not always going to work out the way we thought. We may
Mhm.
have to revisit the plan. We may have to
Mhm.
restructure, like now, the goals.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
I have, my company we work in hospitality and tourism,
Mhm.
and events have been canceling all around us.
Mhm.
So, my business partners, Ladies Leading Lavish Events, we help entrepreneurs, business leaders, speakers really create and cultivate the vision that they have in their mind and create a transformative live experience for their clients. That's what we help them do.
Mhm.
But we've had to shift some things because
Mhm.
they had live events, and we thought, you know what? Okay, this is what we do. This is how it's going to be. Never anticipating that the hotels would not be open. Now it's May going into June, right?
Mhm.
We never anticipated that there would be a pandemic that would stop all gatherings, big
Mhm.
and small. So
Mhm.
we had to figure it out again. So you
Mhm.
give yourself permission to tweak the goals, right?
Right.
Tweak your
Right.
goals. It's
Right.
okay. It's okay.
Mhm.
When you have them, you can tweak them. And
Mhm.
knowing that what if there's an opportunity for you to take a risk, a calculated risk? I'd say faith. What if it's for you to activate your faith in an area where you have been unsure? And
Mhm.
that's where your breakthrough is going to happen. It's
Mhm.
taking the things that you're not really confident or sure about, right?
Mhm.
And saying, you know what? It looks like it could work, but if it doesn't work, so what? I can try again. Like,
Mhm.
stop living in a what if and do the so
Right.
what.
Right. Right. And you know what's interesting, because there's a quote that, and again, it's interesting, and I can't remember exactly, but it talked about that you take on the risk knowing that you don't know the unknown. But we know men do that all the time. They'll say, "Oh,
All the time.
yeah, I can do that," and don't know not one nary thing about whatever the subject matter
Nothing.
is. But you know what? They hustle, right? They stay up, they work, they figure it out, and then they knock it out the park. And it may again, but they grow from it, right? And we as women don't
Yeah.
like taking risks. And
Yeah.
it's a new day. It's new. You've got to go for it. What's the worst that can happen? And that's good.
You
Write it
could.
Write it
Right.
down. Write it down. Write
You
it down.
could get some of that inheritance, that money that's been
Right.
laid up for you. You can
Right.
get access to it. The worst thing that could happen is that you could win, that you could be
That's
successful.
right.
You know,
Yep.
right? And it's crazy because you talked about how men proceed and do things. Right? They will just jump out and do it. And for us, it's like, oh, well, I don't want anybody to judge me for doing it this way, or and if I
Mm-hmm.
fail at it, will people be disappointed? Girl, I need to get your mind right, right?
Yes.
So that
Mm-hmm.
you can stop worrying about what if and if other people are
Right.
going to have an opinion about what you're doing. They're going to
Right.
talk about you if you're
And,
successful. They're going to
and they're
talk
gonna talk
about
about
you
you.
if you fail.
Right.
And you will fail at something. The greatest
Mm-hmm.
leaders, women leaders,
Mm-hmm.
have failed. Look at Oprah Winfrey. When she
Mm-hmm.
started and she launched out of her network on her own network, she
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing well, but
Mm-mm.
she didn't stop. She was
Yep.
persistent and she kept going. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the difference, is that
Mm-hmm.
we have to adopt that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we'll move into that talking about attitude. But yeah, it's just the focusing on the one thing, gaining mastery around that, and
Mm-hmm.
then leveling up from there.
Right. Right.
But be intentional about focusing and not allowing. I say don't allow people to hijack your time. And
Yes.
if you're not organized, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have a schedule in place, again,
Mm-hmm.
giving yourself flexibility that it may change, but
Mm-hmm.
you've got to start somewhere. And if you
Right.
are always available, if you're afraid to put your phone in another room, or dare I say cut it off, away
Mm-hmm.
from the
Yeah.
world, oh my goodness, can you go away for 30 minutes and just be silent?
Yes.
And we know the formula is you got
Mm-hmm.
to be still,
Mm-hmm.
and then you do what you've been told so
Mm-hmm.
that you can own it, not just
Mm-hmm.
have it. Because it's
Right.
one thing to have,
Right. But you
but
gotta.
it's another thing to own. You got to own
Mhm,
all of it, right? You get to
mhm,
own it. But when you have been it and you've been sitting still long enough and you know what you're here to do and you
mhm,
doing that work, you're
mhm,
going to own your area, your dominant, that place that you are going, your domain in the world. Like it's yours. You're going to own it.
mhm. And that's true. That's one of the things, I can say that we've been working on with me is one is not so much that, yeah, like there's so many things that I've been blessed with, but I've been, like I said, the person in the back of the room who's been using it to support other people. And now it's like I said, it's time to come to the front and now to use it and be loud,
Yes.
unmuted is the thing for me. And really
Unmuted.
telling as many women as possible about what they can do, to tell them how to, and then help them get to. And that's the thing that's
Right.
been a passion, um, for the last, I want to say, probably 5 months, because it's just been a major labor of love, that I've been pulling and getting everything together, because I know what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
And every day, God makes it clear and clear as to what I'm supposed to do. And like I said, getting over this Facebook live stuff, that's nothing compared to what's
It's
in
nothing, girl. It's just a
store.
conversation.
Nah, just
It's just us here talking.
us having a
It's just girl talking.
conversation. So you answered my questions about the focus. So now I want us to shift. I know that we're going to, Heidi, just so you know, Heidi asked the question. She wants us to talk more about the vision for the family. And I think we can circle back to that
Oh,
after this
okay.
last. And I'm like, all right, okay, we can talk about the vision for the family. Because,
We can. Okay.
we take care. We're the nurturers, right? So we definitely are taking care of our babies. So um, so the next
Okay.
thing we're going to talk about is our attitude, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, the attitude is more than just the word. It's about our mental and our emotional state, right? About where we are. And right now, more than ever, we need to make sure that one is we're taking care of ourselves. Because I think that's one of the things I think out of the pandemic that's come up a lot is, you know, you have that time now where if you weren't getting enough sleep, you're getting
Right.
it now.
You're getting it
Um,
now, right?
mhm. If your health wasn't good, now's been the time for these last 3-4 months. That's what you should have been focusing on, is your health and getting yourself on track. And and doing what you need, listening to what the doctors have told you about the self-care. And again, the saying is, you put your mask on first when you're flying,
Right.
and then, help others. And so this
Mm-hmm.
is that time where you've got to start putting yourself first in looking at how you're going to be able to provide more for your family. And again,
Mm-hmm.
it's talking about those multiple streams of income and using those gifts and talents to be able to do that. And so I think there are a couple of things. I know we can kind of talk about whatever you want at this point as far as which ones, but I think of the courage it takes to be
Mm-hmm.
able to move whether you see what's in front of you or not. Because right, faith is not what you see, right? It's in
Mm-hmm.
what you
Mm-hmm.
unseen. And so
Right.
for people, you've got to move. You
Mm-hmm.
can't be stagnant. You can't be still. I think the other is not giving up, being persistent.
Yep.
No matter what anybody else says around you, what you've been called to do is for you, and nobody can
It's
take that
you.
away from you. It's only you that keeps you from reaching whatever it is that you're supposed to do. Adapting, like this is the best time ever to adapt and to change because there's so many things going on that you have and can do. And then, you know, if there's something you've thought about that you just wanted to learn or to think about, this is another great
Yes.
opportunity to try it out. Who cares if it don't work, but at least you try because it
Right.
may bring you in another path anyway, but at least you tried. And then to work with others, like this is the best time. You may not have
Ooh,
all the
collaboration.
resources, right? You may not have all the resources, but it may be combining with somebody else who's similar to what you're doing or is a connection of some sort to what you're doing is a great opportunity right now. And two, investing in yourself. Like
Mm-hmm.
you've got to invest in yourself. Professional development is important. And
Yep.
this time more than ever, it is so important because again, what you may think um, may not be. And I remember reading a book, it was called No More Jobs. And it talked about the different uh, in different times or over like maybe the last 40 to 50 years and how the jobs have changed. And then they talked about in this book about how what we're seeing right now was going to happen at some point anyway. Unfortunately, it happened the way that it did, but where
Right.
people need to not think that no more is it a 9 to 5 is going to be what you're looking at, that you're going to, like I said, start to have to think outside the box as to how you're going to support yourself. And so that was one of the things I think that for me, professional development is a really, really big key thing is investing in your future so that you can invest in your children's future. So
Yeah.
when we think about our emotions and our mental health, what characteristics do you believe entrepreneurs need to have in order to get them through this time we're going through right now, through this pandemic?
Well, I think you hit it. I mean, I think you broke it down. You know, you talked about courage. I think a lot of the things that you already shared, like
Mhm.
you got to have courage to make it through this time. You have
Mhm.
to see beyond what you can see,
See,
and you
yeah.
have to be able to
See.
hear what you cannot hear, right?
Mhm.
So even what is not being said yet, you need to be able to hear that. That's
Mhm.
why it goes back to being prayerful, you know,
Mhm.
having that quiet time,
Mhm.
to meditate, to sit still, to be still, so that you can listen to what God is saying to you, the voice of God speaking to you, right, giving you wisdom and guidance and revelation.
Mhm.
But the persistence is key.
Mhm.
So how do you persist in the midst of everything that's going on? It's like you
Mhm.
said, you keep focused on where the end goal is and
Mhm.
finding a way to solve somebody's problem and finding a way to serve.
Mhm.
A lot of people forget that during
Mhm.
this time, this is a great time to serve
Yes.
and
Yep.
to, to give back in a way
Mhm.
that we've never needed to do it. And it's finding ways to give people hope, a sense of hope,
Mm-hmm.
looking outside of the box that you put yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
It is key. So we talk about being adaptable, right? Now you've got meetings happening virtually around the world. You've
Mm-hmm.
got family reunions happening virtually. Everybody's logging in and
Mm-hmm.
talking and spending time. You've got games happening, game night. You've got
Mm-hmm.
news anchors and weather anchors are at home
Mm-hmm.
reading. Commentators are doing it at home, so being adaptable in this time is how do I take my gift and make it relevant for this moment?
Mm-hmm.
How do I make my gift sustainable? You
Mm-hmm.
adapt to the
Mm-hmm.
new environment.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is that we have to get on here live
Mm-hmm.
to have a conversation. The only way we're going to reach the people because
Mm-hmm.
they're at home. So how do we get to them? We turn the live button on and we just start talking. We have a conversation. We
Mm-hmm.
share our insight. We share the wisdom that we've been given. We share our expertise. We have master's degrees up in here, certifications, and we use all of that
Mm-hmm.
to share with people. And so that's one of the things that we continue to do and continue to share and continue to grow. And then you talked about collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
I love collaboration. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Let me fix this thing about live. I love collaboration, and I love collaboration because it pulls together the experts that have the same mission, that have the same
Mm-hmm.
goals, that have the same desires, and it puts them all together to
Mm-hmm.
work to achieve the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I told you before, I have some incredible women that I work with. They're business
Mm-hmm.
partners, ladies of the Lavishire and Triple L, and we all are experts. That's it. Period. We're all experts, and when we come together, all the light is shining. So now we've got 3 lights turned on at the same time. We can only be a light, a bright light, a brighter
Right.
light. So when
Right.
you collaborate, you
Mm-hmm.
bring more light to the world in this
Mm-hmm.
powerful, mighty way
Mm-hmm.
that it is undeniable that you are
Mm-hmm.
here. Talk about
Mm-hmm.
showing up.
Yep.
So when you collaborate, you say, listen, I don't have it all. You've got it. So you got the ingredients. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody has the ingredients that needs to go into this pie or this cake to make it
Mm-hmm.
taste good.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't put one thing in, I'm a baker. So if I
Mm-hmm.
forget one ingredient, it
Girl,
changes
that's
the whole
nasty.
consistency of my cobbler. Right.
Nasty.
And I can't be doing, you be like, wait a minute, what's wrong with that? My kids be like, Mama, that ain't it. Like that crust
Mm-hmm.
ain't right. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Because I forgot something. So
Right.
when you see collaboration as an opportunity to bring it to perfection,
Mm-hmm.
right? It makes it
Right.
an amazing tool, and it's a gift, and it's powerful because now we can grow faster. So
Right.
when
Right.
women link hands, when
Mm-hmm.
we link together and we collaborate, we get to rise so much faster. And when I'm tired, they're strong. And
Yep.
when they're weak, I'm strong. So there is no weak link when you
Right.
collaborate.
Right.
And that's the power of
Right.
collaboration. So having an attitude that I don't have to do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurship is lonely. It is
Mm-hmm.
lonely, right?
Yep.
But it doesn't have to be. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be. And when we're not competing, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to compete with your brilliance because, girl, you know how to build an empire like no other woman I've ever met. That's why I love the work that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to teach them how to build. If they say, I want to build an empire, I'm going to say, you need to talk to Karen because Karen is the one who's going to show you how to lay the foundation so that it's sustainable, so that no matter what the weather is, you're going to stand. Your business will stand. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you get stuck somewhere and your mind not right, I'm going to bring you back over here. I need you to talk. I need to shift you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I need to shift your
Right.
mind,
Right.
and I need
Right.
to open up your voice. I need to unmute your voice so that you can be heard and seen. And
Mm-hmm.
so collaboration is key. So in this time, I think we need to look for opportunities to collaborate, right? We
Mm-hmm.
need to look for ways to stay emotionally healthy. That
Mm-hmm.
means getting your rest. That
Mm-hmm.
means not listening so much to the news and
Mm-hmm.
being so, just consumed with data and numbers and facts and what could happen and all of the bad news reports. Yes, turn it off. Like
Mm-hmm.
silence the noise to keep your mental health,
Mm-hmm.
but also practicing an attitude of gratitude. And I know that's everybody says that, like that's a tag, attitude of gratitude. But let me just tell you something. Gratitude will take you a long way.
Yes.
Gratitude will cause
Yes.
you to live longer. Gratitude will reduce your stress.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Gratitude will help you shed the weight. Gratitude will
Mm-hmm.
cause you not to have to pick up them chips and you'll pick up an apple because you know where you're going, right?
Yep.
So gratitude for everything that you've been given, gratitude, thankful for, life, thankful for the ability to have this time, thankful for an opportunity to see who God really is, thankful. So adapting that attitude. And then finally, what you talked about was professional development.
Mm-hmm.
I think education is key.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody is going to invest in you if you're not investing in yourself.
Right.
So
right.
it's like, you don't want to invest in your business, but you want me to? That's crazy. What am I investing in? Because you don't even believe in it. If you won't invest in yourself, continuing education, lifelong learner, if you won't invest in yourself, please don't ask nobody else to. Please don't ask nobody else to sell your dream and your vision for you. It is your responsibility to be the expert and master,
Yep.
that you've been assigned to govern, to rule, and to dominate. That's your responsibility. So when you put all those things in place, I think that's when you start to grow. And I think that's when you manage all the things that you've been experiencing in a powerful and a greater way.
That's true. That is like so true. And so if we talk about the next steps, because we've talked about beliefs, we've talked about the focus, we've talked about the attitude. What do you think that would pull all three of these together and propel women forward?
That's a good question. Commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment. Because when you commit to win, everything about you, your attitude, is a winning mindset. You know what I'm saying? When you commit to win, your focus is on that one thing, that mastery. When you commit to win, you won't allow the doubt and the limiting beliefs to take over. When you commit to win, that's when the results happen. That's when persistence is a given. That's when faith moves into overdrive. When you commit, it's like, it's like, here I am. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not moving. I'm not going to be shaken. I'm not going to be taken off guard. You stand in such a great authority when you commit, because things may happen, but we're not leaving this, right? No. We're not doing this. I'm not moving from this. No. I'm here to win. And you stand in a place of victory always. I think that's how you bring it all together.
And I think even to add to that is with the commitment is that regardless of the storms that are going around you, you know what you're supposed to do, regardless. You don't. I mean, we could use Noah, right? People thought he was crazy as I don't know what. Build as high as I don't know what, right? Building an ark. But when he had to use the ark, how many of them tried to get on the ark?
Everybody running. When they felt the first drop of rain, they were running. Right?
And so, but he was totally committed to what he was called to do. There was no negotiation. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's so good. No negotiation, right? No, there was no plan. The only plan he had was God's plan. And he had to, from the details to the measurements, to the tools, to the equipment, to the timing, he had to follow God's plan to the T. So when we talk about what brings it all together, commit to follow God's plan for your life, right? And when you commit to that, and like you said, he had people talking about him along the way, walking by, looking at him. How in the world are you going to do that? And anyway, how are the animals going to find their way to this place? God will provide. So every time God gives you something, when he gives you an ark-sized dream, an ark-sized vision, you have to sit still and be who he called you to be, do what he told you to do, and own what he's given to you, what he's promised to you. So when the rain started to come, the doors were closed and there was no more room. It was full. And God did what he said he was going to do. And so you have to know, at the end of the day, the plan, the master plan that God has given you to orchestrate, even in the midst of the chaos and even in the midst of other people doubting you, carry out the plan, commit to the plan that God has for you, and you're going to see incredible
Mhm.
results. The success
Yep.
is guaranteed. It's yours. But we
Right.
have to know how to do it, right? We have
Mhm.
to go all the way.
Yep. And I think that's the true thing is because it's yours. He already promised it, right? He already promised it to us. So we're the only ones that keep us from reaching
Right.
whatever it is that we're supposed to do. And that's the thing.
Exactly.
It's like you just have to stop. And again, this is the best time now during this time of the pandemic to focus on doing what you've been called to do.
Mhm.
Period.
Mhm.
No negotiation
Right.
on that one. Just do it. Just do it.
Right. No negotiation. Right. Show up
No,
all the
no,
way. That's
right.
why you got.
Yep.
You have to
Just show up.
imagine that. Yeah. And imagine if he did not build. Imagine
Mhm,
if he didn't do it. And the thing is that if God's giving you a arc like vision, arc like
mhm,
plan,
mhm,
and you don't do it, how many people will be affected or impacted by your
mhm,
unwillingness to do something? See, we
mhm,
got to get rid of the fact that it's about you. It's not about you, girl. It's not about
mhm.
you.
Nope.
It's really about the bigger plan and
Mhm,
what is the impact that we want to have on this earth, right? What do we want to do? What is the legacy that we
mhm,
want to leave?
mhm,
And the way that we live it and the way that we do it and the way that we acquire it and the way that we manage it is
mhm,
all conditioned on how
mhm,
we believe and how we commit.
mhm. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So that circles back to
Yeah.
Heidi's question of talk about more about the vision for the family. So to answer Heidi's questions from my perspective about the vision for the family, um, again, I am single, but I have a very firm conviction that in a family is it's a husband, it's a wife, and if God willing, it's kids. Okay, that's my conviction. I can't share, but that's not the season that God has me in, and that's okay. But while I'm in this season, I'm going to do what I know I was called to do, and I believe that women were called to this period, and that you are to build legacies. And again, when you're talking about it too, and again, there's so many different avenues to that question as far as family. Again, your family may not be biological. Your family may be the new tribe you've built with close girlfriends or just children. I mean, like whatever. So it just really, to me, it really doesn't matter. I'm just who the definition of the family is. But for me, I think it's key that one is what is the vision? Because you got to start with one. So, what's the vision you want to build for your family? So, for my family, it was I don't want for them to have to work for anybody again. Whatever they create, I want them to create and build out of their own genius, right? That's one. But the one thing, as I know for my family, and I can't speak for anybody else's, we weren't taught about the resources that are available to us, right? I think I shared earlier about just the some of the financial opportunities. So when you look at people like Oprah and you look at people who are into Jay-Z and Beyonce, when you look at them, they live off of the interest that they earn from their money, period, right? But a lot of us aren't taught avenues. So what we're taught is, you get a 401k, you do all these things, but there are so many other vehicles that are out there that we are not aware of. Just not even aware of. And I was mad at myself that I had to wait till I'm in my 50s to find out about it. Because I was like, if I
To
had
figure
known
it
this,
out, right?
right, if I had known this in my 30s, I would be retired now.
Mhm.
But again, thank God that he told me it's not too late.
Yeah.
But again, I just have to set up a different plan. But again, so it's
Right.
about one is about learning. And I think that's the first thing. So you've no a second thing, I guess, is first you've got to figure out what's the vision you want for your family. And I want them
Mhm.
to be financially secure. Then I
Yeah.
want to teach them, because again, if I make them financially secure and I don't teach them how to be financially secure, I've wasted all of my effort of building the empire for them, and they don't know how to sustain it
That's
because they
right.
don't know how to run a business. They don't know the
Mhm.
legal stuff that it takes to run a business.
Mhm.
They don't
Mhm.
know what it means to pay taxes on a business. They don't know any of that. So again, there are things that you have to teach, and that's one of the things I think for us as Black women, we don't teach our kids about money. We don't teach them about finances, which Latricia and I shared, I think, earlier. We don't teach them about finances. So once we
Right.
teach them, we tell them the vision, we teach them about the vision, but then we have to make them create the next level of the vision, because you just
Yes.
can't give them to them. You got to teach them to build their own. So they're building on what you've already built, right? So for me, as I
Right.
shared, I'm in 4 generations. So we have my mother, we have me, the girls, and now the girls have kids. So for me, I'm teaching not only the one before, but I'm teaching two, because they're watching me. So now I take the 12-year-old with me so that she can see what I'm doing, because she needs to see what a
Mm.
woman does when she's building. She needs to see what a businesswoman does when she's in a room. She needs to see and hear and learn. And so when she's sitting at my table, she's learning about finances. She's learning about what it means to build or create a business. She's learning about taxes. She may not get the bigger picture of all the nuances of them, but she's watching me build. She's
Right.
watching me build. She's watching her auntie build, her next, right? So she's watching two build, and that's again the perpetual. And so that's what we're doing. And so I think it's levels of it. But again,
Mhm.
you can build it, but you got to teach them how to sustain it. Because if you don't, it's waste. Because it'll be gone. It'll be gone
Yeah.
because you
It'll
didn't
be
teach
yeah.
them how to, yeah, you didn't teach them how to sustain it, because you didn't teach them how to build. Because again, it's about each level. So like I said, I'm working on the third and fourth generation in my family
Mhm.
about building
Mhm.
empires. And they're never too young. And people say, oh, no, you can teach them, because you can sit them in a room and they know how to be quiet and to observe. Because I know the 12-year-old does a very good job of it. And then when we're riding, I'm asking her questions. What did she get out of the interaction she was with me? What does she think about it? And again, you'd be surprised, like even their thinking and just how sometimes they're way beyond what you can even see, and how they
Yeah.
say out of the mouths of babes, right?
Yep.
So for me,
Mhm.
that's the thing. You've got to start thinking, what is it what do you want? What do you want for your family? And like I said, I know, and that's what I'm working on for my family. And like I said, they may not like the awkward conversations, but they need to know. They need to know
Yeah.
if something happens to me, what do you need to do? Because again, things like people don't realize, what have you decided to do about your business? If you get sick, who's going to take care of your business?
Mhm.
Shouldn't it keep running if you aren't there? Somebody should know something
It
about your
should.
business to keep it going.
Right.
And then two is, if it's when it's my time to go, what do they need to have in place so that there is no skip a beat, that my business keeps
Mhm.
going, and the other income that comes in, that it keeps going, so that there's never a time where there's a scarcity in your family. And where some
Exactly.
families we see right now struggling, you shouldn't have to. Because again, if you're building on multiple layers of revenue, again, there's no reason why. Because like I said, some things are going to dry up, and that's just life, right?
Yep.
But you should
Mhm.
never be like, okay, well, I got 5, so I'm good. No, let me get to 7, because if 2 leave, I still got 5. So you should always be thinking about what you can do and what are the needs that are talents that you have that you can use to serve people. And that's the biggest thing, as you shared earlier, Latricia. We are all called to serve. It's just you taking
Yep.
the time to figure out how you're supposed to serve, embracing
Yeah.
the service, right?
Mhm.
And giving your whole heart to it, regardless of the road that you're on to get there and to
Yeah.
work. You got to keep going. You can't quit.
Yeah, it's amazing because I think about even, something as simple as the breakthrough around the paper bag.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have boxes delivered to my house all the time. And they're brown boxes and they come all the time to my house.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had a phobia of it, just for example, if I did not
Mm-hmm.
get over my
Mm-hmm.
mindset around scarcity, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be comfortable with the boxes coming to my house. But here's what's
Mm-hmm.
funny is that my son used to always say, Mom, you could buy it with the blue card. And I was like, what? The blue card? And he was like, then he went to, you could buy it with the black card. And I'm like, what card? So he was paying attention to whether I was using my blue card for, my bank card, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it was
Mm-hmm.
funny, he's in middle school, or I was using my black card, which is a credit card. So he was paying attention. Depending on what I was buying, he knew what card to use.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, he said, well, just use that. I'm like, it don't work like that. Because I had to take him back to the foundation. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I have to go to work. I get paid this salary, and then there's money on the blue card. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the
Right.
simplest thing. Well, how much does that cost? And now that he's 18
Mm-hmm.
and he's talking about his plan, just finished college first year, woohoo, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in the meantime, I'm like, now you're making money. You got a job, making money. How does that work? This is what we do. So we put a budget in place. You save this, you use this amount for your budget, and we invest the other part, right?
Mm-hmm.
So teaching him, even at 18, how to manage that and to see this whole system he has, it works. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
Mom, I can't believe that it's working and he's building. So what's happening? He's investing in
Mm-hmm.
his own brand. He's investing in that and
Mm-hmm.
he's committed to it. And he understands how it works. He's studying the market. He knows the trends.
Mm-hmm.
He learned how to edit videos on his own because he was doing the research. But I said, and I walked into his room one day and I said, how do you know how to do all this? How do
Mm-hmm.
you know what camera to buy? How do you
Mm-hmm.
know the lighting? How do you know all of that? He was like, well, I just researched and I studied it. I was like, well, who taught you all that? He said, you. I said, well, I don't know anything about, cameras and
Mm-hmm.
lighting and technology and editing. He said, well, I just watched what you did. He said, use all this on the computer, researching and studying stuff and listening to videos and learning. And I just figured if it works for you, it's going to work for me. And so at
Mm-hmm.
18, he's an entrepreneur making money and looking for new ways to make money. So
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about the vision for your family,
Mm-hmm.
you need to know the
Mm-hmm.
vision. But here's the other thing is that as your children grow, because
Mm-hmm.
now I'm getting in this phase where I'm getting, to empty nest. My daughter's in this, adult doing her thing, master's, growing up, doing her own thing, making her own money, managing her own bills, her own
Mm-hmm.
life. And I had to say, wow, you know what? I did something right.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I built her foundation. I don't have to build her house. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to somebody right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mama, you build the foundation. Help them build a
Mm-hmm.
strong foundation. Mentor, help them build a strong foundation, but it is not your responsibility to build a house. Now,
Mm-hmm.
as they're building, as I'm watching my children build their own house, I had to give them permission not to use the right tool.
Mm-hmm.
And then say, hey, you know what? If you use this tool, it'll be easier. Or what about trying this? To the
Mm-hmm.
point where they're not afraid to build and
Mm-hmm.
not afraid to take, to say, oh, it didn't work. I'm going to try something different. Oh, I got to use this instead of this. And after you help them build while they're building, if you lay the foundation and get
Mm-hmm.
them strong in the
Mm-hmm.
foundation, and then
Mm-hmm.
they build their own house, they start building their own vision, their own dream.
Mm-hmm.
Your vision is still present because
Mm-hmm.
you put something incredible into them. You
Yes.
put work
Yes.
ethic, you
Mm-hmm.
put character, integrity, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of the courage, the persistence, the adaptability, the curiosity, all the things that you had to overcome
Mm-hmm.
and to work through, you
Mm-hmm.
put that in your children. And
Mm-hmm.
now they're building based on what they saw you do and acquiring new information, knowledge, and wealth along the way. So it's
Right.
a win-win for everybody, but we
Mm-hmm.
cannot be held hostage and say, you have to build it this way. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to build it the same way I built it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want them
Yep.
to. I want them to
Yep.
build it
Mm-hmm.
according to their life assignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
According to what God called them to do,
Mm-hmm.
they are to build. Because there is, again, an area that God has given them
Mm-hmm.
to stand on, to build, to dominate, to rule, and to govern. But
Mm-hmm.
they stand on the foundation of truth, of faith, of love, of peace, and everything that I've laid out for them. So when you're building a foundation, you got your vision, like Karen said, but make sure you build that foundation sure and strong in a way that they know that as they're building, they have you to depend on. They have you to guide them. They have you to do that, but you're not responsible for building because they got to learn too. So it's just the collaboration in family is key right now, right? Communication in family is key. We talk about the family in this time. Communicate. You was writing letters. Your teacher sent notes. This child is a pleasure to have in class, but now you've been a teacher for 2 months and you don't feel that way. The report card looks very different. You like, you lied.
You're right.
Because no, she not. And no, he not. You know what I mean? But you see now for yourself. So it's just, communication, being understanding, being mindful of other people in your family and what their desires and their needs are. Everybody matters in the family. Everybody has a significant role. And as you're building and you're considering the family for this vision, for your family, write it with them in mind. Communicate it with them in mind. And then be flexible enough to say that we may have to change some things along the way. I hope that helps answer her question.
Does that answer your question, Heidi? Okay, well, I hope it does. So, so do you have your one last wisdom you want to share with everybody?
I want to say, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. When nobody else believes, believe in yourself. When nobody else tells you that they believe in yourself. Because you have a gift, a skill, a talent, an ability, potential that is all inside of you. And when you were formed in your mother's womb, no matter how you got there, God had a plan for your life. So if you can't believe in anything, believe in Him and believe in you.
Good. That is so good. And I would say my last thought is don't give up. No matter the struggle, don't give up. No matter how hard things are, don't give up. Because there's a promise for you. There is a vision that's put out there for you. There's a calling that's out there for you.
Yeah.
And I want you to grab hold, to embrace it, to pursue it. Because you are called to serve. We're all called to serve, but you're called to serve. And we need you to stand up and get ready to serve.
Yes. That's good.
Yep. So I want to thank everybody for joining us for this Mind Your Business conversation. Because I got to tell you, I love minding the business because it's key.
I know, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So the thing is, I want to just, as a final close, is I want to just share with everybody that an invite for the first 10 people a 30-minute coaching call. And if you feel like, this has motivated you, there's more that you're interested in, you want to learn, please sign up. And you just go to www.womanbuildyourempire. And they're sign in for the mailing list, and we will reach out and set up and schedule a time to have that conversation. Because again, we want you to live your true purpose. We really want you to do what you're called to do. And like I said, in these trying times, we all need to be moving forward and stepping into what we're called to do. And again, if it's already 2.4 million of us that are out here standing tall, we need some more. Because I know there's a lot more women out there. And again, as Latricia shared, there's room for collaboration. There's so many things. And I just want to create the safe space for us to come together, to have the intimate conversations like this, to be able to get us there. And again, thank you, Latricia. I really appreciate you and just your vision, your passion, and just for you standing up and being who God called you to be, because You really are an incredible woman, and I am ever so grateful for God putting you in my path to help me to get unmuted, right? To come forward and
Mhm.
to do what God's called me to do. So, and again,
Thank you
much
so much.
grace to you. So,
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. This was fun. I love doing this.
yeah.
You know how me and you do. We'll talk for
Mhm,
hours. They don't
mhm.
even know. We will go all
So,
the way
yeah,
in. But
yeah. Mhm,
thanks, yeah. But thanks for having me. And then, just thank you for the work that you're doing.
mhm,
There's so many women that need you, desperately need you. And I would
mhm,
tell your audience, those people that are here on my party, my watch party, people who catch this on the replay, you need to build it the right way. And Karen is
mhm,
incredible at doing that. She has mastered the art of building
mhm,
your empire. And
mhm,
I encourage everybody to if you can get 30 minutes with her, I'm telling you, your life will change. So thank you for offering this to the community. I'm going to be
mhm,
sharing it with my
mhm.
women to let them know that this is something
Thank you.
available to them, because just to be able to build right, it makes all the difference. And you
Mhm,
are standing so powerfully in your gift. The world needs
mhm.
you. And now there is no turning back, girl. So I'm honored to be
No.
on the journey with you.
I know I'm grateful that you're on the journey with me. Because again, I just appreciate, just being, pushed, again, like you said, I'm getting my mind right, right? Because
Yeah.
it all started in the head, like I shared, that demon of perfection. And it
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore. And, for me, it's some days, when it does come up, it's a good thing because it makes me grow, right? So
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
thing that I can appreciate about it. So again, thanks to everyone for joining. And those that are going
Yeah.
to catch this on replay, please, first 10, 30-minute coaching call. All right. So I say good night to everybody. And till next week, I already got something set up. You'll see the announcement by Wednesday. So it's going to be even more cooler too. So it's now getting into the trenches of how we can help to secure our money is the next thing that we're going to start talking about.
Ooh, yes, I'm
All
in. I'm
right.
coming to watch. I'll be
All
on
right.
live watching.
All right. Thanks. Good
Bye.
night.
Good night.